Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Tuesday, October 21st. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and we are joined today by a first-time guest on the show, hosts a daily betting show called Lines at Lunch, Ryan Sura on the program with us. And Ryan, good to have you with us. I first noticed Ryan's tweets a long time ago when he posted that trend and that angle with Caden Primo recently, talking about how every recent Caden Primo start's gone over the total, essentially since the beginning of last year, and every Primo starts pretty much had 7+ total goals in it, which is obviously, there you go. That's why it's gone over every game. But that was a great stat he threw out there, and happy to have him joining us here on this Tuesday. Ryan, welcome to the Ice Guys for the first time. How are you? Things good?
Yeah, man. Things are great. Appreciate you guys having me on here. Always love getting into the mix with some NHL betting. You know, I feel like you see NFL and NBA obviously be the more popular ones, but I feel like you can really get in the nitty gritty with some NHL betting here. So excited to talk with two guys that I've definitely seen around Twitter as well. I've seen around the sports betting and NHL betting space for a while now. So definitely excited to chop it up. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Happy to have you. All right, we'll get into it, and we'll start with last night, which was a win some, lose some kind of night for yours truly. Unfortunately, we did the sprinkle on the draw in the early games with the Wild and the Rangers and the Kraken and the Flyers, and we did that because of the strong series history we had seen with overtime games between the Wild and the Rangers and also the Kraken. Well, more so with the Kraken, it was that every Kraken game's basically gone to overtime here early in the season. But unfortunately, we did not get the plus 300 or better hits with the draw in either of those games. And once again, the New York Rangers, I guess they should actually start a parade right outside Madison Square Garden that they scored a goal last night. You know, even though they lost the game, at least they got one on the board in that building. And I like John Massey with the quip, our great friend of the show and Ranger fan, saying, I forgot there was a fucking goal horn at Madison Square Garden. I thought maybe they took it out. You know, they're not using it. It's broken or something. That was hilarious. Funny is that what he mentioned that they do have a goal horn still, after all, after that Ranger goal early in the game to give them an early 1-0 lead against the Minnesota Wild, their first goal of the season on home ice, but that's the only one they would put up as the Minnesota Wild shut them down the rest of the way, and they end up getting a 3-1 win in that game over the New York Rangers. Philadelphia gets a nice win against Seattle last night. Seattle, it's funny how defensively we're all so impressed with Lane Lambert's defensive system in the first two games at home, and then they go on the road trip. Not quite that same defensive performance from the Kraken, giving up goals. Joey Daccord hasn't been nearly as sharp here on this road trip, and teams have been able to score on this Seattle team through this Montreal, Ottawa, Toronto, Philly road trip that they've had, and that happened again last night. We were so close to cashing one of my bargain bin specials with the debuting Berkeley Catton playing on the top line last night for Seattle with Beniers and Eberle. I took a shot plus 480 for him to score a goal. He didn't get the goal, but he did get his first NHL point last night. Great moment for him getting into the Kraken lineup. Probably the highlight for them. Tough night for Seattle and two of their teams anyway. Kraken lost. Obviously, we saw what happened with the Mariners losing to the Jays in the ALCS Game 7. The Seahawks, though, saved the night for Seattle sports, beating the Houston Texans last night. More of the same shit from Calgary last night. Can't put a puck in the ocean. Get shut down offensively. A pretty good defensive effort from the Winnipeg Jets. Ryan, Alex, and I have talked about this all season, and we'll see if you agree with this. If you want to bet the Winnipeg Jets, sure, you can lay the price with them on the money line, but I find the better bet is take the opponent, team total under with the Winnipeg, because I find every time they win a game, they're going to have a good chance to hold the opponent to 2 goals or less. And wouldn't you know it, including last night against Calgary, Winnipeg, every victory they've had, they've held the opponent to 2 goals or less. And the team total under has cashed in every Winnipeg Jets victory so far this season. So it was on that Calgary team total under last night, and a nice winner there as the Jets shut down the Flames in that one. And then the late game was a very entertaining game. Carolina, you kind of felt maybe that was the spot for them to lose their first game. We've talked about this. We've hammered it home on this show. Eventually, the loss of Jacob Slavin the beast on the blue line for Carolina is going to show up at some point. It's not going to show up as much when you're playing the Sisters of the Poor like in Anaheim or a San Jose earlier on the road trip. But we saw LA start to hammer away offensively a bit more on a Carolina blue line, missing their tower of power, their pillar of strength back there in Jacob Slavin. And last night we saw it again. Vegas gets on the board early with the 2 quick goals. And I thought it was a much better, tidy, cleaned up defensive effort from the Vegas Golden Knights, because the one issue we've had with Vegas this year is they've looked a little sloppy in certain games, defensively in their own end. And also, of course, transition. They've given up some odd man rushes. And, of course, the goaltending has been a bit shaky, but it was much better from Vegas last night, and they get a very good 4-1 win. I was disappointed the game stayed under, but I did put more on the first period over, and that was the best bet on the show for both me and Alex last night. Carolina Vegas first period over. This is the gift that keeps on giving. It's now 10-1. The first period over in Vegas home games, October, last year and this year combined. 10-1 run for Vegas first period overs at home. It's been a beautiful thing. We have definitely been the beneficiary of that trend, and certainly it came through again last night with another first period over and a great win for the Vegas Golden Knights. And it's like a proud papa last night for me watching that game, saying I picked Carolina versus Vegas as my Stanley Cup final this year. I'm just sitting back and saying I love these two teams. Just give me a great game, guys. Make me look good. Make me look like I got a chance that could be the final this year. And they both look, even in defeat, I thought Carolina played an all right game especially considering they're without Slavin and they were without Gostisbehere. Like we talked about, Keandre Miller was up on the top pair because of some of the depletion on the blue line. So good game last night and a really good win for Vegas. Alex, your thoughts on what we saw on Monday?
Yeah, it's interesting, results in a short slate. Monday's always, kind of up and down, and usually you tend to see some lower scoring Mondays. I don't know if I have to look and see actual just full on, just kind of go back and looking at Mondays, but it feels like the Mondays tend to be an under kind of a day, kind of like Fridays can be a little bit goofy. And we talked about with the Jets. I see you like that team total under for the Jets opponent when backing the Jets to win a game. The trend that I like that's been rolling hot and heavy is backing the Jets on the money line, parlaying it with the under 6.5, because we're getting 5s, 5.5s with the Jets on a regular basis, especially you match up last night, Wolf and Hellebuck, 2 of the better goalies on paper. But Wolf has not been playing that well, yet he had a fantastic night. And you can kind of look on for Wolf to bounce back after he has a bad start. It doesn't necessarily mean the Calgary's going to win the game or the defense in front of him is going to play well, but he always has a better start after he has a shaky outing where he gives up 3 or 4 goals or even gets pulled. So I knew that was a solid spot last night, came through because the Jets aren't a team that they're going to blow everybody out of the water. They'll suffocate you and they'll swamp you and play that cycle game, much like Florida and their former coach has the Panthers playing. That's the kind of style they want to play, but that means they're winning games 2-1, 3-1. By their standard, maybe a 4-1, 4-2 rarely, but they're not going to give up a lot of goals, and they're not going to rely on scoring a bunch of goals to just blow a team out right now. So I think both of those trends are really solid. Ian's trend of backing just the team total under, especially when it's the Hellebuck start, and then looking at Jets and that under 6.5 when the game is basic lined at 5.5.
Yeah, there's different recipes you can use to prepare the same meal, as they say. And yes, Winnipeg and under, parlay, Calgary team total under, both of them would have cashed. I forgot to mention Buffalo, Montreal. It's probably because I don't have a lot to say about that game other than, Buffalo was not going to win every game indefinitely after the little bump they've had beating Florida and Ottawa in back-to-back games at home. And sure enough, Montreal looks damn good, man. They really, really do. I've been so impressed, that lineup. Demidov, another solid game. Cole Caulfield scoring goals left and right. If they play solid enough in their own zone, and the loss of Gouli, too. That's a big loss on the back end for Montreal to overcome that, beat Buffalo last night, who had some momentum going into that game. Nice 4-2 win. Unfortunately, a lot of us took Buffalo to score the first goal of the game because Jakub Dobiš has this crazy run of, I think it was 14 of 16, 15 of 17 games in a row. 15 of the last 17 starts, Jakub Dobiš had given up the first goal for the Montreal Canadiens in net. Last night was not one of those instances, as Montreal was able to get on the board first in that game. Ryan, what did you think of Monday night? How did it go? And some observations, your thoughts from what we saw last night.
Yeah. So the Montreal game you bring up there, definitely interesting. I'm a Habs fan for one, but I've found that since really, like, obviously they had that really slow start at the beginning of last season, but since around December, them as like short home favorites of like -140 or -150 or higher, they've been absolute cash cow, and a lot of those haven't necessarily been in regulation, but taking that with like a Nick Suzuki assist or point has also been super profitable. So I was on that yesterday. I did take the over in the Rangers Wild game, hoping for a little bit of different results from the Rangers after scoring 4 in Montreal over the weekend. I thought that would have given them a little bit of a momentum lift, but and I just didn't think that Minnesota team defensively, at least to start the year, hasn't been as good as we've seen in years past. So I thought an over would have been good there. Missed the bill on that one. I did have the over in the Kraken Flyers game in a parlay, so that hit. I just figured at this point with two teams, two like lower level teams like that, I feel like there's just so many mistakes to be had in the neutral zone and giveaways, whether it be through transition. That ended up coming through. There's 3 teams I'm fading aggressively this year, especially even on season long totals. And it's the Flames, the Kraken, and the Islanders. And yesterday I tried to back the Flames. I put half a unit on their money line, and I was like 1-0 going in the third or whatever it was. Maybe it was 1-1 at that point, but like a little bit of hope. And then obviously the Flames just can't finish on 33 or 32 shot attempts that they ended up having on Hellebuck. And then I was surprised by that Vegas result a little bit. Like, I thought it was a little fishy that Carolina was still that price going into Vegas, but that Vegas first period over trend is obviously is very good. I was played at the beginning of the year 2 of their games, but I didn't know looking back to last year. That was an interesting stat. Definitely something I've jotted down.
And just in the last week, 3 in a row at home for that Vegas first period over. Boston game last week, Calgary on the weekend, and of course Carolina last night. So it's been, like I said, it truly has been the gift that keeps on giving, those first period overs in Vegas Golden Knights games. All right, that was then. This is now. Let's turn the page, and we will get into the Tuesday NHL card. It is a big slate, as it always is on a Tuesday, with 10 games on tap. We will begin with the San Jose Sharks and the New York Islanders. The Islanders team that Ryan just mentioned, he's been fading a lot here this year. The Islanders -220, home favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. The Islanders, though, have won 2 in a row after that rough start to the season. And, decent competition. Nice 4-2 win against Edmonton last week at home to get off the schneid and win their first game. And then they followed it up in a crazy back-and-forth affair Saturday afternoon. It was like watching pond hockey with them and the Ottawa Senators. And the Islanders are able to emerge victorious there in that game with a 5-4 win. You look at this matchup here tonight, and we're going to go back to the theme here that I've been hammering about home all season long on this show about the Islanders. This is the number 1 over team in the NHL right now this season. 5 games over the total. It could have been a push if you had the 6 on the Oiler game, but I had 5.5, so I consider that as a win. Here is why the Islanders have been a strong over team. I think the betting markets and odds makers have been conditioned to believe this team is defense first, going back to all those years with Barry Trotz and all those years they struggled to score goals consistently, not a bunch of upper echelon offensive game breakers littered throughout the lineup years ago for the Islanders. Things are changing a little bit. I think their offense is a little bit better. It's not a juggernaut team as far as scoring prowess and production, but it's still, I think, a little bit better offensively than we have seen from Islander teams in the past. I think Matthew Schaefer, the number 1 overall pick, the rookie on the back end, has given them more of a puck movement from the back end, getting rushes started. They're not playing in their own zone necessarily as much. They're able to generate a little bit more because of that. It certainly helps that Barzal and others have started the season healthy for a change for this Islanders team. And I think their offense has definitely shown signs. Bo Horvat off to a good start. And all, the pieces they have, we have seen them put in goals, but they are not as good. They're not even close to the same defensive team they were years ago. And you look at it, I don't think Romanov is ready to be a top pair defenseman for this team. Pelech and Pulock, they've had injuries galore. It's been one trip to the infirmary after another. And when they do come back from injury, their foot speed is questionable. Their ability to lock things down is questionable. You can beat them with speed. And that's they've been big parts of this blue line for years. Adam Pelech and Ryan Pulock. And to me, those two guys just aren't the same defensemen they were years ago, especially in their own zone. So you factor in the uptick offensively with the decline defensively. Not to mention Sorokin has not had a great start to the year for the New York Islanders. He's living off 2 years ago when he was amazing, and he's been very average, very mediocre ever since. He'll be in net tonight. Yaroslav Askarov, the perceived goalie of the future, will start tonight for San Jose, but he's got a lot to prove. He's got a mash unit of a blue line that he's playing behind so far this season. It's by far the weakest part of the San Jose Sharks team. And to make matters worse, not only did they don't have depth when they're healthy, quite honestly, on the blue line, the San Jose Sharks. And they're already suffering attrition. They're already suffering injuries now at the back end early in the season. Let me just bring up the updated it's Klingberg, it's Liljegren, of course, former Leaf. It's Shakir Makhmadullin. These are all guys that are banged up. They're rolling with Orlov, who's on the decline. Leddy's on the decline, age and performance. Then you got Vincent Iorio, Sam Dickinson, Vinny Desharnais. I like Mario Ferraro, but boy, oh boy, there's a lot of holes in that San Jose defense right now. And it's making life difficult on both Askarov, who gets the start tonight, and Nedeljkovic. The goaltending's got to be better, but I think a lot of it is the D just sucking right now, and just having zero depth and obviously having all kinds of issues in their own zone. So this is another over for me here. Over by Fekta, 1.5 first period, full game over, 6.5. Now I will say this: they've adjusted the Islander totals for the first time this year to a 6.5. So this is going to be the ultimate test of this undefeated over streak for the New York Islanders this year. None of their totals have been 6.5 until tonight, but we're still rocking with it. We ride the streak until it ends. That's usually my philosophy. So over by Fekta here, and I'm going to sprinkle just ever so slightly. Obviously, I like the first and full game over bets the most, but at this price, I have to sprinkle a bit on San Jose at plus 180. To me, the Islanders at minus 220, I'm interested fading them regardless of who they're playing. Let's not forget San Jose, not last year, but 2 years ago, went to New York here to the island and beat the Islanders a couple of years ago as a big dog. So I'm going to sprinkle on the Sharks. And if anything, after Warsofsky's talking about giving up children to get a win the other night after the loss, I think maybe that gets his team's attention here. Like, let's get off the schneid. And they're going to look at this as the Islanders aren't world beaters. We can come in here and hang with these guys and maybe take one. So I think we'll get a great effort from San Jose tonight. Worth the shot at plus 180. Alex, what do you think here? Sharks, Islanders.
I'm looking at a couple of parlays here, and I'm playing these small, but I'm going with Sharks to get the win and over 4.5. You can grab that at MGM plus 230. And I'm also going with the Matty Rob special, over 1.5 the first period, combined with the over 5.5. I combine that at FanDuel minus $1.03. So that's a way of just kind of playing those. And of course, I can also look for things live. If there's not a lot of scoring early, get an adjusted 6 or 5.5 with that full game over. I do like Bulls here. And I'm just taking a flyer that the Sharks aren't going to lose every game. Like you said, this could be the one where they gear up. And if they're going to beat somebody, it would be the Islanders. This is a complete Islanders fall flat on their face spot, laying 220 at home against a team that hasn't won a game all year. So it would not shock me one bit to see the Owls lose this one. So Sharks tag with the over 4.5, and then first period over 1.5 tag with the over 5.5 full game in the parlay.
There you go. Hungry Sharks team. I think we will see. Doesn't mean they're going to win. They're struggling. They're not playing well. But like I said, they're worth it at this price, I think, plus 180. It's just an overinflation, overpriced Islander team, in my opinion. No Romanov, by the way. It's Tony DeAngelo and Adam Boquist playing the bottom pair for the Islanders on defense tonight. And I'll tell you what about DeAngelo. That's another guy that can be a nightmare in his own end sometimes. I know he can skate. He's got the shooting ability. He can play some power play for you. Decent enough offensive instincts, but between some defensive lapses and then sometimes losing his cool, losing his discipline, and taking bonehead penalties. Sometimes you don't get what you bargain for sometimes with Tony DeAngelo on the ice. Ryan, how are you approaching this? Sharks, Islanders.
I'm looking at it in similar ways as you guys for sure. I'm looking at it as kind of like a letdown spot here for the Islanders, after two big wins against the Oilers and the Senators in two games where I think they're creating a lot more offense this year. Like you kind of alluded to with Patrick Roy as their head coach now. I think things have changed a little bit. But they shot 16 and 22% against those two teams. This was one of the worst shooting percentage teams in the NHL last year. And if you look at their season average, it's about 10%. So I think I could see a little bit. It's hard to say you're going to see a little bit of an offensive regression for a team going up against a San Jose team. Like you said, very depleted, very young, very inexperienced. But I think this Sharks team just comes out a little bit hotter tonight. Just got shut out at home against Pittsburgh. Like you said, Warsofsky's selling off his kids for a win at this point. I think the message is pretty clear. you're starting a 4-game road trip on the East Coast. I think you kind of want to start it off with a win, obviously. So I didn't have the balls to take the money line, but I did take the plus 1.5. And one of the reasons why I think this game could go to overtime. So I actually took that at plus 380.
There you go.
For this game to go to overtime. And then you have 1 versus 2 going up against each other. So what better time to take Michael Misa to score his first NHL goal at 5-1?
You are fitting into this Ice Guys family quite well, Ryan. Your first game that you preview when you're on a draw. That's going to make all of us happy. We got draw season shirts in the Ice Guys store. So there you go.
That.
Like I said, we love hearing a good old draw. And Ryan liking the draw here with the Sharks. And we've actually, you know what? We've called them over the years. This is one of the teams that's gone to overtime as much, if not more, than any team in the NHL the last 2-3 seasons. We've called them the New York Thailanders.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. And there's a reason for that, no doubt. Oh, by the way, as far as props, just quickly, San Jose Toffoli's up with Celebrini and Smith. Jeff Skinner. I'm going back to the well, man. Jeff Skinner's been good up on the second line here for the San Jose Sharks. And I'll throw one out there on the Islanders side. It's just from a value pick. You know, he scored the last game. He's up on the second line now. Ryan will appreciate this now knowing that he's a Habs fan, former Hab, Emil Heineman. I think there's a little value with Emil Heineman here tonight to find the back of the net, north of plus 400 tonight. All right, New Jersey and Toronto. Leafs minus 120 home favorites, 5.5 the total here in this game. This is the Sheldon Keefe Bowl, of course, going back to Toronto, although he's done this already once last year, so it's not the same deal. I mean, he's been back already last year with the team. Devils are rolling. They're playing really good hockey. The Leafs have been up and down. They're inconsistent. Form-wise, I could only back New Jersey as a dog here. I think they're in better form right now than Toronto. Toronto's not played a strong, crisp 60 minutes. But my fear with fading the Leafs tonight is Anthony Stolar is basically reaming his team out after the loss to Seattle on Saturday night. Just basically saying, it's basically pitch and catch for the goalie at the other end, and I'm getting run, and nobody's doing a fucking thing about it. So from that standpoint, he's getting a little ticked off, and I give him credit for speaking up and speaking out. Better you get people's attention in October than have this crap carry over into March and April, when you're trying to start playing your best hockey. So I expect the Leafs to really come out strong, full bore tonight. That being said, New Jersey's been playing some real good hockey. Great win for them against Edmonton over the weekend. I'll always remember that game for the great call with the bargain bin. My first bargain bin special. We finally got one with Connor Brown for New Jersey at plus 600, scoring against his old team, the Oilers, which was great to see. Jake Allen is in net. Yeah, occupancy. Good call on that. He's obviously been, he's very capable with Jacob Markstrom out of playing well, and he certainly has done that for the Devils. Anthony Stolar, Stoli the goalie, back in net here for the Leafs. Maybe a lean to the draw here, but nothing for me. Nothing. I got a couple props, but nothing for me yet as far as side or total in this game. Alex, what do you think here, New Jersey, Toronto?
This is going to be a pass for me because even with the draw, I'm seeing plus 310, plus 315. That's not the greatest value in the world. It's one I can wait for, watch, and maybe jump in live. But right now, in pregame, I'm passing this.
Ryan, what do you think here? Devs, Leafs.
I couldn't find anything really that I loved in this game. Like, I look at this, Devils off back-to-back huge home wins versus Florida and Edmonton. Now go on the road to Toronto, who just lost to Seattle in overtime. You just said, like, Stolarz is called out, like, one of their best skill players, and Nylander and, like, the team as a whole. And to be honest, I feel, not to look too much into it, but the Blue Jays momentum has to roll into the Leafs, I think, a little bit. Like, that's what I would honestly look into, taking the Leafs just off of that pure electricity in the city at this point. But the Devils are playing well. The way they're scoring, like, they're converting on a lot of their high danger chances, and they're creating a lot of high danger chances right now. Whether, like, right now they're still about that 3-game win streak that they're on.
Newsflash, bottom half of the league. Jack Hughes being healthy makes a difference.
Yeah, there you go. Very true. So I don't think it's too shocking to see where the Devils are at this point, or where they've been the last 3 games. But like you said, I also find it hard to believe that Sheldon Keefe's going to continue to lose to Toronto, because I'm pretty sure the Devils were 0-3 against the Devils, or last year. The Leafs were 0-3 against the Devils last year, or vice versa. The Leafs were 3-0 against the Devils.
Leafs were 3-0 against. I know what you meant. Yeah, I know what you meant. Yeah, Leafs were 3-0 against the Devils last year.
And so, good point, Ryan.
Looking for his first win against his old team. Yep, go ahead, Alex. Yep.
A good point, Ryan, you made about talking about that Leafs momentum rolling in. that's something that maybe we could kind of look at just over the next week with these games, not just in Toronto, but really all of Canada. You saw the response of Calgary Jets game when that final out was made. You had Jets fans and Flames fans, forgetting about hockey for a second, high-fiving each other in the crowd because the Jays have won the pennant. So that's something to maybe keep an eye on those games and those nights where it's the Jays game. That crowd's going to be electric, and it won't just be because of what's going on the ice. It's going to be because of the baseball too. So you'll all of a sudden hear something random in a crowd at a game over the next week or so, and maybe that does bring a little bit of more energy into those bars. Certainly Toronto being the epicenter, but Ottawa and Calgary and Winnipeg on those particular game nights, it's something to think about.
Yeah, definitely.
No doubt. It is something to consider. You're right. And it's Toronto Blue Jays are, the lion's share of the sports fans and baseball fans in Canada are Jays fans, except I would say for, the extreme, West Coast of BC, where it's definitely a split between Blue Jay and Mariner fans. There's a lot of Seattle Mariner fans, obviously, in the Vancouver, British Columbia area. And that's why that city was it's like a civil war for baseball fans out there in Vancouver the last week or so with the Mariners and Jays playing each other. Matty Robb saying he snagged the over. Yeah, 5.5. I'm done betting unders when it's 5.5. Like I can't get to unders anymore at 5.5. Like it's just I would need some. That's why with Alex, I appreciate what he's doing with Jets and under 6.5. Like you never truly feel safe and comfortable with 5.5 unders anymore. Like even the game that stayed under last night with Carolina Vegas, you're sweating it out in the final minute, at 4-1. So it's not easy. Like I said, it's always I prefer if I'm even approaching under 6 or 6.5. Is the number I'd prefer with those. Max Domi might have some value tonight for props. I'm interested in maybe a goal prop and assist prop for him. He looks like he'll be playing with Matthews and Nyes on the top line tonight after obviously they've given the Easton Cowan that chance the last few games. But it looks like Max Domi's going to be on that top line here tonight for the Leafs with Cowan a healthy scratch. Michelli, Tavares, Nylander, the second line for New Jersey. Dawson Mercer's the one that I'm going to be looking for as a value look. Obviously, Meyer and Ishier and Hughes, Bratt, we know those guys can pop off at any night, but why not ride the hot hand at the better prices that is Dawson Mercer, the Newfoundlander here. 3 goals and 5 points for him in the last 4 games for the New Jersey Devils. So there's value right there. Dawson Mercer kind of had a dip in his play last year. Compared to 2 years ago, but he has gotten off to a great start, and I'm sure Devils are happy to see that. All right, Vancouver, Pittsburgh, even money, -110, both sides, 6.5 the total in this game. This should be interesting. I'll tell you what, Pittsburgh, maybe because of a good fortune as far as schedule and who they played, but the Pittsburgh Penguins have not bought into we're the worst team in the NHL, are supposed to be. So far this season, a 4-2 start. Like I said, it's been schedule related. Like you look at who they've beaten, the Rangers, who they offensively challenged it. They scored 1 goal at home all season. They beat them on opening night. The Islanders are not a great team. They beat LA, who are, Alex and I have told you all season, LA is in for a world of hurt this year. We don't think this team's on the way down. And then they beat San Jose, who don't have a win yet this year. So you can't make too much of the 4 wins that the Pittsburgh Penguins have had so far this year. It's also the first spot back home off a lengthy West Coast road trip. 3-game, well, not lengthy, but 3-game West Coast road trip. So not exactly a spot I love backing Pittsburgh in. We'll see with Vancouver now, who have picked things up. Great road trip. And remember how good this team was on these long Eastern road trips last year under Rick Tocchet. Looks like they've picked up right where they left off under Adam Foote this year. Playing well on the road, playing well in the Eastern time zone. Much like they had a great road record. Kevin Lankinen, who's going to be in net tonight for Vancouver, has been good on the road last year. He won a lot of those road games for them. They've won 3 in a row on this road trip against Dallas, Chicago, and Washington. That being said, little tricky spot, right? You're talking about 4th game in 6 nights for the Canucks on this road trip. Not easy. And the one thing that's fearful of me, because I kind of want to take Vancouver, I'm going to lay off, though. And there's one specific reason. She loves you, yeah, yeah, yeah. Arturs Shelovs is starting tonight for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And guess who he's facing? His old team. And I can tell you right now, look at Alex Lyon as a perfect example, Saturday afternoon against the Florida Panthers, and the way he played for Buffalo in net, shutting them out. There's massive motivation and incentive anytime you're facing a former team. And I would expect Arturs Shilovs possibly to have a really strong performance in net tonight for the Pittsburgh Penguins against his old team. So that's keeping me off Vancouver. Form-wise, I like it for Vancouver. Tricky for Pittsburgh, coming home off a West Coast road trip. Those are all the elements that make me want to bet Vancouver. But with Shilovs in net, wanting to play well, you would think, against his old mates, that's enough to keep me off betting the Vancouver Canucks here in this game tonight. Total, it could go either way. Like, Vancouver's played a little more loosey-goosey on this road trip. Pittsburgh's kind of a team that, they've had some unders, they've had some overs, they've kind of had a mix. Jari had a great shutout performance against San Jose. Obviously, Shilovs tonight. So I think the total could go either way. Yeah, Philip Hedl out. Great. Obviously, I was going to get to that, but the hit he took from Tom Wilson. Look, I get it. It's a bad result. You hate to see it because this guy has been injured over and over again for the Canucks, and going back to his time with the Rangers too. Philip Hedl just can't stay freaking healthy, and it's a shame. And that's the worst. That's the person you would not want in the least to be in a situation like that with all the injuries he's had. But unfortunately, it was a hard hit. It was an unfortunate result, but it didn't deserve 5 minutes. And they made the right call. They're not giving 5 minutes on that. You can't take good, hard hockey away completely. And unfortunately, Wilson caught him there, and that's it. It wasn't, vicious or malicious or, direct head contact. So from that standpoint, it's just an unfortunate result there for Hedl. And Besser's out, Teddy Bluger's out. So there are some injuries. Lekka Ramaki, the impressive young Swede's out for Vancouver. They do have a couple injuries to deal with here. So, yeah, pass for me. Maybe in-game I'll bet something. But like I said, beware of Shilovs against – I think Shilovs over saves I'm interested in. I don't do a bunch of goalie props during the season, but this could be one I jump in. Arturs Shilovs over saves for the Pittsburgh Penguins tonight. I think he'll get tested, but I think he might be up to the task. Alex, what do you think here, Vancouver, Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I think he's going to be fired up. I expect him to have a good game tonight. And I think this is going to be a kind of a close battle. So I like the draw here. I grabbed that at FanDuel, grabbed plus 340, and then I'm grabbing at 65-1 Sidney Crosby to get the game winner in overtime.
All right, one of those combo bets, Pittsburgh to win and Crosby overtime winner at a huge price there for Alex. Ryan, anything you're liking here, Canucks Penguins?
It's funny you bringing it up, the revenge game for Shilovs, because it's the only thing I have written down for this game, because I didn't even know where to start. Like I said to you before we came on air, the new head coaches, two new head coaches going at each other at this point, Adam Foote and Dan Muse. I still don't really know what I like from either of these teams. Like, the expectations for both of these teams were relatively low this year, especially Pittsburgh. They've exceeded those at this point. I still don't know what to get from this Vancouver team when you have so many injuries as well. So this is definitely a pass for me.
Looks like Linus Karlsson was great for them with Abbotsford in the run to the Calder Cup Championship last year, by the way. And he looks like he's been moved up to the second line by Adam Foote tonight for Vancouver. So there might be some value with Linus Karlsson in a line with Max Sasson and Arshdeep Baines tonight. I'll say this, DeBrusk, Pedersen, and Garland have started to gain a little chemistry here, the top unit for Vancouver. We'll see if that carries over. As far as props for the Pittsburgh and also for Vancouver, here's one I'm going to throw out there. I know he's down the lineup now. It looks like fourth line tonight, but former Penguin, why not take a sprinkle? We hit the jackpot with Connor Brown in this situation, facing his former team. How about Drew O'Connor for the Vancouver Canucks? Former Penguin, came over in that Pedersen trade last year. So a little value there, I think, with Drew O'Connor here to maybe find the back of the net for Vancouver. Pittsburgh, there's only really one that I was interested in here tonight as far as props, and that one is Mantha on the second line with Malkin and Brazeau. He's had some good looks lately, so we'll see if he can maybe find the back of the net with one of them here tonight. All right, Seattle and Washington. Capitals minus 260 home favorites in this one, and the total 6 here across the board. Kraken, obviously, the road has been a lot less enjoyable for them compared to starting the year, obviously, with that 2-0 start. Logan Thompson confirmed in net. Capitals, valiant comeback attempt, obviously, on Sunday afternoon against the Vancouver Canucks, but it falls short, dug themselves just too much of a hole. and they ended up losing that game 4-3. So they'll be in bounce back mode. And keep in mind, they've been playing pretty good hockey here on this homestand. It'll be interesting to see how this one plays out. Kraken on a back-to-back. They have it's not confirmed, but I think it's pretty damn safe to assume Philip Grubauer is starting tonight for the Seattle Kraken against his old team, or his original team that he started his career with, the Washington Capitals. Lane Lambert playing a hunch that he's going to step up. Now, Grubauer's not been good. Let's call it like we see it here since he's been with Seattle. But for one night, can he step up and play well against, the team he started his career with? We'll have to wait and see on that. I have to see it before I believe it. Still a banged-up group, too. We talked about this in the breakdown with the Kraken and the Flyers game yesterday. There's no Jared McCann. He's day-to-day. Freddie Gaudreau's on IR. Capo Caco, of course, missing yet another game. We'll see how this one plays out for Seattle. Back-to-back situation for them. This one is one where I did sprinkle a little bit on the draw here in this game. And a little bit on the first period over here, Seattle, Washington. I'll look for a 5.5 in game when the price drops. As soon as the price drops to 5.5 at a reasonable price, I'm going to jump on this in game. There's a lot of books that have 5.5 up to -150, and then other books that have 6. So I'll wait for the full game over in game, but I will dabble in draw and first period over pregame in this one. Alex, Seattle, Washington.
Yeah, this is a live over by factor for me. And like I said, when you have a book that's teetering on that 140, 150 range on a 5.5, just wait a couple minutes and then I'll be right down to 120 or even close into the pick 'em range. So I like goals here, but I'm just going to wait and get better prices. But the over 1.5 and 5.5.
Oh, yeah, I had forgotten about that. Thank you for that, Peanut, saying that in the chat. Yeah, I forgot that Joey Decord got pulled after the second period last night against Philadelphia. So Grubauer came in and cleaned up the rest of that game and finished it in the third period. I still think he's getting the start. This is the spot that I think Lane Lambert probably had it planned weeks ago, that he was going to start this game. I don't see him changing those plans just because he got into the game in the third period last night. I still think it's probably going to end up being Grubauer as planned in net tonight for the Kraken. Ryan, what do you think here? Seattle, Washington.
So I'm looking at it a little differently, I think, than you guys, and I don't blame you guys for looking at Seattle with how they've been on the road and taking it over. But I think my favorite play of tonight is the under 6 in this Capitals Kraken game. I went back and looked at the Capitals as like big home favorites last year, because I did realize whenever Washington would bring a team in that they're definitely could outmatch skill wise or just work ethic wise. Like Spencer Carberry's type of physical play and north-south type of game, and even the forechecking that they possess with it, just suffocates these teams that they are definitely better than. This Lane Lambert type of style as well, I think bodes well for that, like emphasizing defensive fundamentals and structure. I think they'll be focusing on limiting Washington chances, not actually scoring. I think this game will be like a death by 1,000 cuts for Seattle, because I think they'll severely get outshot, but they've been pretty solid at limiting high danger chances. And whether it's Grubauer or Decord, I just don't see Seattle being able to score enough. And I don't really want to take a Washington -260 or the -1.5 at this point. There's a lot of better trends that point towards the under. So I could still see this game being like 4-1, but I can't see Seattle getting more than 2 on this Washington game.
I love it. I love it. I love hearing an under recommendation. I don't give out too many of them, as people know, but like I said, I love when hearing other people step up with an under. Yeah, I think you'll get a quicker pace early and then it grinds down. That's why I'm more so interested in the first period over, not in love with the full game over here in this game. But like I said, we'll see how it goes. Yeah, Jonathan, that's right. Jonathan, that's something I either forgot or I didn't take into it. I forgot about it. That is true. The Seattle Kraken last year, they were not just bad. They were terrible. Pathetic on back-to-backs last. I don't think they won a game last year on a back-to-back. And like the average score, like they were getting outscored by an average of 3 or 4 goals, in back-to-back last year. Yeah, thank you, Jonathan, for reminding. I had totally forgotten about that. Now, again, this is a new season, new team, new coach, so you do have to remember that. It's the Dan Bilesma Seattle Kraken. This is different coaching staff, different style of play right now, but largely the same players that were on that Seattle team that was just brutal on the second night of back-to-back games last year. So, yeah.
But all the more reason why they'd want to play tighter on the road in this particular spot, because they were so bad and so brutal defensively last year. So that would still lean itself to the draw.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Okay, there we go. Yeah, 0-12, losing 11 of 12 by 2 goals or more, and scored 2 goals or less in 11 of those 12. There you go. So 0-12 they were on back-to-backs last year. The Seattle Kraken. Holy goodness. I knew it was bad. I forgot it was that bad. Oh, my goodness. But they are off a loss. So, like, that's why the mail it in element of it, you want to mail it in after you just got your ass beat 5-2 last night by the Philadelphia Flyers? I mean, what kind of team are you if you're doing that shit? So keep that in mind. Protas, goal prop. We're always interested in Alexei Protas to find the back of the net. So I do like that here in this game tonight. That's really the only. I'm actually going to dabble with Berkeley Catton again, just because he's up on the top line and the price is so good. And he did have a point. Last night, his first NHL point, Berkeley Catton, in the NHL with Eberle and Beniers on that top line. All right, next up, we've got an all-Canadian matchup here. We had one last night with Winnipeg and Calgary, and we have one here, Edmonton and Ottawa. We've got the Oilers, minus 130, road favorites, 6 the total in this game. This might be an Oilers team based on what I've seen. Maybe you're just better off just letting sleeping dogs lie, as they say, and just letting Edmonton figure it out first, maybe before you back them. And obviously they've had a little bit of a scuffle. You know what's shocking is everyone thinks about the high-octane, high-flying, very potent offensive team that is the Edmonton Oilers. They've scored just 7 goals during this losing streak, 9 in their last 4 games. Like, this is not a team that's rolling offensively right now, Edmonton. Leon Draisaitl, I applaud what he said. I've got to look myself in the mirror. I've just got to get to another level. Kind of calling himself out after the loss to the Detroit Red Wings over the weekend on Sunday, losing that game 4-2. Their 3rd straight loss on this road trip. Think about it. They beat the offensively hapless New York Rangers in a place they can't score, Madison Square Garden, to start this road trip 2-0, and they've lost all 3 games since then, with the losses to the Islanders, the Devils, and the Red Wings consecutively. That being said, on the other side, you got an Ottawa team that's 1-4 in their last 5 games. Their only win was a shootout win against Seattle. They've lost to the likes of Buffalo, the New York Islanders, Nashville, who's not anything to write home about. So it's not like this Ottawa team is firing on all cylinders right now. That's not what I want to see. What I'm going to do here, though, is with Edmonton, I'm looking at this schedule right now for them. It's been an arduous road trip. Make no mistake about that. New York, Rangers, Islanders, Jersey, Detroit. Now here they are in Ottawa. And then they finally go back. Here we go with this nonsense again that Alex and I always bitch about, and it's so true. They have Ottawa to finish this road trip. They go back home for one stinking game Thursday night against Montreal, and then they're back on the road for 2 more games. Yep. It's just, same old nonsense, same old BS, Alex, with this ridiculous schedule making that they're doing to some of these teams. So, but they do go back home for a 1-game pit stop against Montreal after this, and then they play Seattle, Vancouver on the road. I'm going to dabble pregame in Edmonton minus 130. I just think Ottawa's gettable right now. They're not playing great at the moment. Edmonton, a step-up effort. Do they really want to go 1-4 on this road trip? I don't think so. A step-up effort from them. Allmark's not been good. Let's call it like we see it. He has really been fighting the puck. Skinner for the Oilers. Hasn't been perfect for Skinner, but he's been better than Allmark. Allmark, 3.99 goals against average, .848 save percentage on the season. He's just not playing up to the level he's capable of. So what my approach here is going to be is Edmonton pregame for a small bet minus 130. If Ottawa scores or takes the lead, I will add plus money, plus price in game to the coffer on Edmonton. That's going to be the approach here for me in this one. Alex, what do you think here? Oilers, Senators.
Yeah, I'm keeping it simple. I'm on first period over pregame. I got minus 122 at FanDuel, and then I'll just be looking for things live. Like I said, these are 2 teams that are in not the best form, and I want to see, what kind of breaks, is this going to be? Because Edmonton, like I said, the offense, that's going to be the biggest thing. Can the offense finally wake up and deliver? Because in the normal spot, this would be, okay, we'll go over 3.5, not worry about them winning or losing, especially when both goalies are a bit shaky. But I just don't trust in their offense right now. I need to see it. So both teams need to come out blazing early. I like first period over minus $1.22. You can always wait for that live, and then we can see where things go from there.
8-2, by the way, for Edmonton, the last 10 meetings against Ottawa, and they've won They have a winning record against Ottawa during that span as well. So I do think we get a good effort from the Oilers, and with Ottawa's form and Allmark fighting the puck big time right now. I mean, he just gave up 5 to the Islanders he's just not in good form right now. I think Edmonton would dig down. Don't want to lose a 4th straight on this road trip and end the road trip on a sour note. So yeah, going to bet Edmonton's pregame -130 quarter unit. Probably add another quarter unit live in game if I see a plus price if they trail at any point. That's going to be the strategy here for me. Ryan, what do you think here? Oilers Senators.
Yeah, I definitely looked at the over. I couldn't get there. I think I might take a stab at the 5.5 or maybe a first period over there with Alex as well. I think I agree with what you guys said about Allmark. I think he's been the biggest concern for me looking at this Ottawa team, even heading into the season. Like, there was a lot of talk about his play. He was talking about how he wasn't happy with where his game's at right now. He continues to voice that in the media as well, which I find very concerning. Going up against an Edmonton team like this, I think there is something to be said about what you said, Ian, maybe letting Edmonton kind of just figure it out before hopping on them. So I commend you for taking them tonight. But I like McDavid's shots tonight. I took over 2.5 at -120 earlier this morning. If you look at their last 5 games, he's averaging almost 6 attempts, which is more than any other forward on the team. He also averages 7 shot attempts per game against Ottawa for whatever reason, and has over 3 shots in 9 of his last 10 meetings against Ottawa too. And that might be in Ottawa. I'm not sure. I can't remember if that was just overall, but definitely like his shots tonight. Connor McDavid, and also just with the fact of how bad they've been, I feel like this is like a type of game Connor McDavid goes, I'm Connor McDavid, I'm just going to do all this by myself today. And that ends up turning him having like 5 or 6 shots. And one good note for people in the chat as well, I saw Brady Tkachuk, not with the Sens since last year. I think there's been 14 or 15 games. The over is 9-4-1.
9-4-1 without Brady Tkachuk. That's a very good stat. Well, good stuff. There you go. So, yeah. Now, more I think about it, I'm looking at the history in Ottawa. Just the games in Ottawa between the Oilers and the Senators over the years. We've had some first period overs. We've had some first period unders. But every recent full game has gone over.
Okay.
The games in Ottawa. I'm looking at the games in Ottawa specifically. Last year it was 5-2 Edmonton. The year before it was 5-3 Ottawa. And then before that we saw 6-3 Edmonton in Ottawa. So those last 3 games in Ottawa had 7, 8, 9 goals combined. So this could be a full game over spot. Because you got to think Edmonton is focusing for the first time. They don't usually have to focus on offense, because that's usually, it's a given. They're going to find a way. The power play, especially, going to find a way to produce. They're actually thinking, hey, we kind of need to get our offense back on track after these last 2 games against Jersey and Detroit. So, yeah, the full game over could get there. I might add that to the card. But like I said, Edmonton pregame, and maybe add Edmonton a little bit more if they're behind at some point here tonight. All right, Pinto to score a goal. We have to. I mean, we've been taking him to score a goal at pretty much every game. It's a given at this point. I'm going to have a Pinto goal prop in pocket. And I still think Mangiapane is definitely going to be someone with continued value here up on the top 6 here for the Oilers as well as far as props. All right, Florida and Boston. This used to be must-see TV, with Boston kind of not as good as they used to be, maybe not so much. And maybe now with the Panthers all of a sudden not looking like the defending champs, at least in the last few games. Maybe it's taken some shine off this game, but nevertheless, it's still, rivalry, bad blood, although the parts have changed, obviously. Florida -150, road favorites, 5.5 the total. I will have Florida live if they're trailing. I can't, as bad as a run as it's been, we know there's no Barkov, and we know there's no Tkachuk, and we know they're having a hard time here on this road trip. It's been let's be honest, been a really tough road trip for Florida. Noshik out, Kulikov out on the blue line. But this is a gettable game. Boston's not a world beater. Boston's coming off a very rough road trip. They got swept by Vegas, Colorado, and Utah. They've now lost 4 in a row as well. I just don't like the price enough pregame to bet Florida -150. So this is going to be one of these situations where hopefully the game's tied for extended periods and we get that live money line price to dip a little bit on Florida, and we'll get it closer to even money. I'd love a plus price on Florida at some point in this game if Boston takes the lead. So that's what I'm going to be targeting here is Florida live. Obviously, look, I don't want to – I always tell people tread lightly with player props. There's variance. you could love a player prop, but it's not always going to hit. You always want to keep those bets to lesser units, at least I do, than sides and totals. But I went bigger than usual on the Brad Marchand props tonight. I mean, it's hard not to, right? I mean, he's going back to Boston now as a member of the Florida Panthers. He's obviously going to get the opportunity. He's not on the top line now. It looks like Paul Maurice has shifted things, putting Verhaeghe, Bennett, and Reinhart, which has been a good line for him in the past when those three have been together. But Marchand's back with a pair that was dynamic for Florida in the run to the Stanley Cup last year. Remember how that third line was playing like a freaking top line offensively in the playoffs last year for Florida? Brad Marchand with Anton Lundell and E2 Cool Mint Luostarinen. I mean, absolutely, it was outstanding, that unit. And now Paul's going back to that group, thinking, now let's see if that old magic in the bottle can come back out again with Marchand, with Cool Mint Luostarinen, and with Anton Lundell here in this game. So, yeah, Brad Marchand props to be are definitely a situation where I'm interested as far as goal, assist. I'd even sprinkle over 1.5 points tonight maybe on Brad Marchand, get a little plus price value with that. So that's probably the thing I like the most in this game, is looking at Brad Marchand to make an impact here back at TD Garden in Boston here tonight. Alex, what do you think here, Florida, Boston?
Yeah, this is going to obviously be an interesting game, of course, with Marchand first, return back in the Florida uniform with Boston, and it just the emotion. There's always going to be emotion, right? And at the beginning of the game, there may be some cheers. They'll do the video tribute, but then once the game goes on, the puck hits the stick and they're booing. That's what I would believe, because it's still Boston and it's still Florida, and it's still that rivalry that has grown over the last couple of years. And so I expect animosity. I expect a physical kind of a game, back and forth kind of game. But I think you will have a chance to possibly get Florida at plus money, because I like Boston to get the first goal. I'm going regulation first goal score Boston plus 105. I am going with Boston get first goal in first period plus 135. And then I will mention a little bit later somebody that I have to score that first goal of the game for Boston.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the first goal, goal scorer prop better that Alex. Alex doesn't mind taking shots with first goal. This could be the night for a Brad Marchand first goal. It could be, to maybe dabble in that, as someone in the chat likes it at plus 650 here tonight in this one. What do you think here, Ryan? Florida, Boston.
Yeah, I definitely wasn't a believer in this Boston team going into the season. Still don't think they're the real deal, despite how they started. Obviously, they've dropped 4 in a row at this point, but I don't know if I can get behind this Panthers team at minus 150, minus 155. Really not inspiring what you've seen kind of on the road the last few games here. But one player I am looking at, as much as I probably will hop on some Marchand props, Mackie Samoskevich, who I know is playing on the third line, but he's got bumped up to that first power play. I did see the Panthers beat writer tweet out earlier today that he's from Connecticut and has about 20 to 25 family members showing up. So, you're always a little bit more inspired playing in front of your friends and family. I'm sure it'll be one of the first times as well, playing like fully in Boston as like a full player for the Panthers. So I like that play tonight. That's plus 144 I found on FanDuel to get a point. So
great find, and nice to know the little family angle right there.
Yeah,
that the Samoskevich clan are going to be invading a TD Garden here tonight in Boston for this game. So, like I said, I think it's a great opportunity for Florida to get off the schneid and win. Definitely, the Florida's the side for me, but like I said, I'm going to take my chances waiting for a better price in game, or seeing if maybe Boston, gets an early one, and we can get Florida at plus money live in game tonight for this one. All right, next up we've got the and by the way, goaltending for this game. It should be Bobrovsky and Swayman. Yes, it is. Both are confirmed as the starting goalies. All right, Los Angeles, St. Louis. We've got the St. Louis Blues minus 130 home favorites. The total 5.5 here across the board in this one. You know what we're doing here. Fade LA, fade this moron numbnuts coach, Jim Hiller. Get him out. This team's not going to get any better until they can his ass. This team is a disgrace right now. They can't beat. They blow leads to Pittsburgh at home, 4-2. I actually thought against Carolina, they showed a little gumption, as our guy Darren Pang would say. You look at it, 4-3 overtime loss. They fell behind early in that game, but made it interesting late, but still lost at the end of the day, not playing well. 4 losses in a row. This run to start the year is ugly. 1-5 to begin the year for the Kings. I know they've been competitive. They've lost some tough ones in shootouts and overtimes, and they faced a tough schedule: Colorado, Vegas, Winnipeg, Minnesota, Carolina. Pittsburgh was the weakest team, but they lost that game. Now you're starting this road trip. Problem for the Kings is they feasted on home ice, and now they're starting to lose at home, and they were not a good road team last year. Now you got to go on the road and try to fix what's ailing you. I don't think that's going to be easy. Credit to the Blues. They bounced back big time from that shellacking against Chicago and beat a very good Dallas team. I thought that was a great complete game Saturday night from Jim Montgomery's team, both ends of the ice, probably their best defensive game of the season, beating a very high-octane Dallas team, shutting them down. It looks like it's going to be, as far as goaltending here, a Binnington for St. Louis. We'll see if Kemper's back. He's day-to-day with that injury. Anton Forsberg, it's been rough for him in net for the Kings. Either way, even if it's Kemper back, I'm on St. Louis at this price, -125, -130 in this one. Alex, what do you think? Kings, Blues?
Yeah, I went one step further, and I'm taking St. Louis in regulation. I got +115 earlier, and that price is still around. Like I said, we just can't trust LA right now, and this is a team that seems to be kind of sliding away. Like I said, you were winning games at home and struggling on the road last year. Now you're losing at home, and you're getting away from the road, and if things don't get better away from Hollywood, it's just going to continue to get worse, and I expect that. And I think St. Louis, like I said, bouncing back off of that Hawks loss, that they have continued momentum going in the right way. So this is a cheap enough price. I'll back St. Louis to win within 60.
Blues have won 3 in a row at home against the Kings as well, including the one time LA came to St. Louis last year as well. St. Louis won that game 4-1. So yeah, Blues at a very reasonable price here, in my opinion. And I don't think they're going to be satisfied just beating Dallas, because they stunk at home before that. They got shut out by Minnesota at home. They got ambushed by Chicago at home. Like, they were getting crushed in those first 2 home games before beating Dallas. I don't think they're going to rest on their laurels, say, hey, we beat Dallas, we can take our foot off the gas. No, I think they're going to try to build some momentum for a team that was really good at home ice, down the stretch. Don't forget how great they were at home. That's what got them into the playoffs last year, how great they were at home down the stretch. Ryan, what do you think here? Kings, Blues?
I'm totally agree with you what you said, by the way, about Jim Hiller, and you could just see how this Kings team has kind of taken a complete 180 since McClellan has gone. And not that obviously it wasn't fully working with Todd McClellan, but I think bringing in Jim Hiller is definitely certainly a downgrade.
You mean you agree with us, Ryan, that playing a defenseman for only 2.5 minutes in a game is not the way to go?
Yeah, I would agree with some very questionable coaching decisions by Jim Hiller. But I think the line here also is very telling, because you're seeing this Blues team get a lot of respect after beating the Stars as +110 home underdogs. I think it was when they did beat that Dallas team. Now they're -135 against a Kings team. It's still one of the upper tier teams in their division coming into the season. I think it just goes to show how much the Kings have been downgraded over this 4 game losing streak that they're on at this point. I'm not messing with the side or total in this one. I think the only things I would be looking at here is some Kings player props with Kopitar out, because there's definitely some advantages to take here. With Kempe's shot attempts certainly have gone up or go up when Kopitar is out of the lineup. Fiala tends to get a lot of points. He's points in 4 of his last 5 and 2 goals in the last 2 games with Kopitar out. And then Byfield's shot attempts have also really gone up. Other than last game, I believe his last 6 games straight, he's hit his shots total against or just with Kopitar out of the lineup.
Yeah, Fiala has been the one guy playing well offensively for the Kings. I mean, he scored in 3 straight games for them. That's always something to keep an eye on. I'm going to dabble. There's a few props I like for St. Louis, because I could see them getting on the board. We're going to go back to the well with Holloway, Dylan Holloway for tonight for the St. Louis Blues. Snuggerud, Pius Suter. Don't sleep on Pius Suter as well for the St. Louis Blues. That was a nice addition in the offseason, getting him from Vancouver. So those are a few of the players I'm targeting here as far as player props tonight in this Blues and Kings game. You're right about, Ryan, about Kopitar's absence opening the door for value, with some of these Kings props on the top 6. I mean, you look at it, Laferriere, I don't know, Jonathan Davis, who covers the Kings and follows them closely, he cannot believe Laferriere's a top-line center right now for this LA Kings team. So another black mark here against Jim Hiller. Is Jim Miller is not the second coming of Scotty Bowman, Al Arbor. That's for freaking sure. We're finding that out right now with the not even that's I
not
never
even
mind those
close.
two guys. Just be Pat Burns or someone like that. Like just be just a good coach. Never mind one of the all-time great coaches. Just be not even close to a freaking good coach right now that we can compare that guy to.
Don't even be comparable. He needs to just pull his head out of his ass and figure things out. Like, it's not that hard. It's not that difficult. You have a talented team. You know,
Very
that's
talented.
the crazy part. It's not like he's not working with a bunch of stiffs. He's not in San Jose. He's not dealing with Boston. He's got the Kings. And there's a lot of talent on this team, and he's just fucking it up.
Yeah, there is. Bench mismanagement. Like I said, Ryan, we were all over this during the playoff run. We couldn't believe how they just went. They attacked Edmonton. That's what got them the lead in those games. That's what got them the lead in that series. And then they get the lead and they go to this conservative bullshit shell all over again and try to sit back and protect the lead. And then they get into trouble. And that ridiculous challenge that gave Edmonton a power play in that one game, and everyone could see that was a bad challenge. Jim Hiller couldn't, though. And just you can go on and on. Be here all day talking about the faults and the flaws of Jim Hiller. Columbus and Dallas. We've got Dallas minus 190, home favorite, 6.5 the total. Stars not going to go 82-0. They lose back-to-back games, in fact, because they lost to Vancouver before that as well at home, and now they lose to St. Louis. So bounce-back spot for the Stars. It feels like a circle-the-wagon spot for them, even though I think there's going to be spots to bet Columbus at very good prices this year. I don't know if tonight is one of those spots, with Dallas coming off the back-to-back losses. And they've also beaten Columbus 2 in a row here at the AAC here with the 5-3 win last year, 5-3 win the year before that, hosting this Columbus team. One thing that's very interesting here with these two teams is high-scoring affairs have been commonplace between them. First period, full game over, 4 times in a row, head-to-head. Both of them have cashed, Columbus versus Dallas. First period over, full game over. And that's what I'm on here. First period over, full game over. I might dabble in that Stars team total over with that Matt likes. I like that a little less because I think Columbus could chip in as well. But I think Dallas will get back to their 4-goal output here in this game tonight against Columbus. I was waiting on whether Merzlikins was going to start. It is Merzlikins, so I like it even more because I think Jack Greaves has been the better of the two goaltenders so far this year for Columbus. So, Dallas team total over, smaller, primary bets over by Fecta. Alex, Columbus, Dallas.
Yeah, it wouldn't matter if it's Merzlikins, Greaves, Pascal, Leclerc, Fred Brathwaite. Don't matter. Pick a goalie from the Jackets. I like this team total over 3.5. I will be on the over by Fecta in game, and more than likely we'll be looking at Dallas. Like I said, just laddering and stacking Dallas. I think they win big in this one. So I might even have like team total 4 at BetMGM as well.
No doubt. Good stuff. Yeah, I like the Fred Brathwaite reference. That's going back in time. We're old enough to remember Freddie Brathwaite.
Yeah.
So that's a sign we're not getting any younger, though, unfortunately. Yeah. Ryan, we're not as young as this man here. Ryan, Columbus. What do you think here, Ryan? Columbus, Dallas.
So Dallas has been really good in this spot over the last 2 years or so as a home favorite of minus 175 or higher with like a lower total. The last 23 times in this spot, they're 18-5, 14-10 against the spread. So I would be taking Dallas if anything here. I do like this Columbus team. I think what we saw from them last year with how good they were at home, we still haven't seen them put it all together on the road. And I still think like their home numbers last season were a little fugazi and something that we could see regress this season for sure. So I think it's Stars or nothing in this spot. And like you guys said, I feel like the Stars will score a decent amount of goals. So if anything, you got to look at the over.
There you go. Yeah, I agree. Over by Fecta, Stars team total over. Definitely liking that as far as this game goes. As far as props for this game, just a couple that piqued my interest for Dallas. Maverick Bourque, Johnston, Robertson. I think Maverick Bourque might be someone worth a look. I find that this year he's shown signs and glimpses of maybe being a little bit more ready, to take on more of an impact, make more of an impact offensively. He's got a goal and an assist in the 2 of the last 3 games. So Maverick Bourque with Wyatt and Jason Robertson. Sam Steele, there's still value as long as he stays up there with Hintz and with Rantanen on that top line, putting on the Ritskovians with the third line right now. And I think, as the season goes on, he's going to end up making an impact here. For Columbus, on their side, I'm looking at as far as their lineup tonight is concerned. Kent Johnson, it was his birthday, and I know we'd liked him to maybe make an impact, and he scored against Tampa Bay. So, like I said, Voronkov, Monahan, and Marchenko, the other Kirill the Thrill, as we call him, Marchenko, been off to a good start here for Columbus, but I like Kent Johnson again. There's value on that second line for him going into this one tonight. All right, we'll talk Anaheim, Nashville, and then before we get to our last game, we'll throw it to Ryan to get his thoughts on the last game. Then we'll get his best bet, bargain bin special. We'll get him on out because he's got to leave in about 10 minutes from now. We've got Anaheim and Nashville. Nashville minus 140 home favorites. The total here sitting at what is the total here? It's 6. Pretty much across the board. I've got the freaking heebie-jeebies about this game because one of the first bets I placed last night was quack, 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 the Quackers, Anaheim, at a plus price here in this game. And now I have seen no Lukas Dostal confirmation yet, and I'm scared shitless right now. Shitting bricks. We're going to see old Pete Mrazek with his freaking groin and his lower body taped up, maybe starting here tonight for the Anaheim Ducks in this game. And the prospect of having an Anaheim ticket in pocket with Peter Mrazek in net is not very appealing, and especially the way he looked in the first start he made this year for the Anaheim Ducks. That being said, I love this price for Anaheim. They've dominated Nashville. They've won 5 of the last 6 meetings against the Predators. They've won 3 in a row in Music City against the Nashville Predators as well. Swept them last year. To me, I think they're going to have a better season potentially than Nashville. Nashville's cooled off again after those couple wins early in the year. They're not scoring again. Same old crap with the Predators. UC Saros has been confirmed for the Predators. I'm very leery, though, that this feels like Coach Q might turn to Mrazek. I'm not saying he will, but it's gone this long and no Dostal confirmation, and I am a little concerned about that. I may still stick with the bet, even if it is Mrazek, because I really like this price on Anaheim, but obviously prefer the better option, and that would be Dostal. But I'm on Anaheim here, plus 120. Alex, Ducks, Predators.
11-5 with a 2.45 goals against, a .920 save percentage, and a shutout in 16 starts. That's Peter Mrazek's numbers against Nashville. So whoever's in goal, I'm rolling with the Ducks here.
Right,
I grabbed plus 120.
I didn't know that. Yep.
Yeah, I feel fine with this. I think this is a ridiculous spot. You were reading it and almost got it wrong. You said Anaheim minus 140 because that seems to be the price. I think the wrong team is favored here, in my opinion. So give me the
Anaheim
Ducks.
plus 120. Yeah, I agree. I think it's wrong team favorite. I think Anaheim's going to have a better season than Nashville. I like the upside. I don't fault them for losing to Chicago the other night. That was a dead even game. It was back and forth. Dostal and Spencer Knight were both great in net, and Chicago got the win in overtime. Could have went either way. I think they've gotten better, and I like and you said it on the recap about the Anaheim-Chicago game yesterday, that Anaheim took a step forward defensively too, even though they lost that game in overtime, which is a good sign on the road for a young team. And trust me, Chicago's speed is not Nashville's speed. You're going to be able to contain this Nashville team speed-wise, especially compared to a team like Chicago. Ryan, what do you think here, Anaheim, Nashville?
So I definitely love this Anaheim team coming into this season. I have a ton of futures on them. I have Quenneville to win the Jack Adams as well. But the one thing I've seen with Anaheim so far is they've been able to create a lot of offense. Like, their expected numbers are pretty good, but their execution and I find their finishing still isn't there yet. And I wonder if that's just with a new coaching system and a new feel with Quenneville and Jay Woodcroft as their coaching staff now. Like, you look at that Anaheim game, they outshot them by 9. They outchanced them. We're only able to score 1 goal in that game and ended up losing. I just don't think we'll see a full momentum, like a 60 minutes of quality play from the Ducks just yet. I think we're still waiting for that point for this Anaheim team. So going up against a goalie like UC Saros, who's playing much better to start the year this season, I do like the under in this game. Again, I did pay a little bit more of the juice on 6.5 at minus 135. But like you guys said too, Nashville can't score, and I think Anaheim will struggle to score against Saros tonight. So I like the under, but I do lean the Ducks on the money line.
All right, liking the under, though, is Ryan here for this one between the Ducks and the Predators. Just quickly on the prop market, Bunting at plus 300. He scored the last game. If you're going to look for someone on the Nashville side, McTavish got a goal in the last game for the Anaheim Ducks. And I'm always interested in Gauthier, our guy, Carlson, and maybe a little Beckett Seneca. We always do that. The Seneca Casino from Western New York. But yeah, that's Beckett Seneca, definitely. I've been impressed with him. He's had chances. He's scored a few goals already. He's getting his nose dirty. He's getting in scrums. I like that. This kid's not even 20 years old yet. He's not afraid to muck it up in front of the net. You love to see that kind of moxie, from an 18-year-old kid like that. All right, Ryan's going to take off in a few minutes, so we will get his thoughts right now on Colorado and Utah, the final game on the board for this Tuesday night. Colorado minus 150 it is in most spots over the Utah Mammoth. Minus 150 road favorites for the Avs, and the total here sitting at looks like pretty much 6 across the board. Ryan, what do you think for this final game on the board, Colorado, Utah?
So obviously these two teams played one of the first 2 games of the year, was a 2-1 finish with Wedgwood and Vejmelka in nets. I think looking at like Colorado as a road favorite, been very successful in this spot, looking back to last season as well. Colorado was my team to win the Stanley Cup this year. Like you had Vegas and Carolina, I have Colorado, Carolina as my Stanley Cup final. So I definitely like Colorado. I don't know if I'm eager to jump on them at this price. But I did take Nathan McKinnon to get an assist. I'm talking about prices, and then took McKinnon to get an assist at minus 155, but also parlayed it with Natchez to get a point. So that could get you to plus 105. And I mean, if Natchez is getting a point on anything, McKinnon is usually going to have a hand in it as well. So I like to play those two together.
There we go. All right, Alex and I will talk about that game in just a moment, but we'll let Ryan get on out of here in a few minutes. But before that, we got to get his first ever Ice Guys bargain bin special of the night, plus 300 proper price or better. All right, what do you think, Ryan? In the bargain bin special of the night, it's one of our favorite segments. What have you got for us for your first ever bargain bin special here on the Ice Guys show?
I already talked about it briefly, but I really think that overtime spot between the Sharks and the Islanders at plus 360 is where I'm going to go with that. I just think these two teams at this point, where the Islanders are coming in off a little bit of a letdown spot here, San Jose can kind of catch them by surprise. I think it can end up being a close game near the end. So I think that around 4-1 price is definitely fair to look at overtime there.
Yeah, I should point out to everyone watching, the bargain bin special, as long as it's plus 300 or better, it can be anything. It doesn't have to be a player prop, and Ryan just proved that right now. So there you go, the draw, plus 380 with the Sharks and the Islanders for Ryan's first bargain bin special of the night. All right, Ryan, first best bet. What do you like the most here for tonight?
I think I'm going to have to go back to what I was talking about with that under in the Kraken Capitals game. Regardless if Grubauer ends up getting the start, I like that Logan Thompson is getting the start here. If you look at the last 7 days, both of these teams, despite Seattle being an over team on this road trip, 7th in shots allowed per game. Washington's first in that category. Both of these teams rank top 5 in terms of expected goals against as well. As I mentioned, I think this Washington team and Spencer Carberry can kind of suffocate whatever Seattle can try to do on offense. And I think Lane Lambert's going to go back to his style and just try to do whatever he can to limit Washington on the offensive end, especially in those high danger chances. So I took the under 6. I don't know if I love the under 5.5. I think you get a little bit of leeway with the push if it is like a 4-2 game, but I like under 6 in Washington, Seattle. That's my best bet.
There you go. It doesn't happen often on the Ice Guys show, but it happens here with our guest, Ryan Sura, an under best bet here on the Ice Guys show. Seattle, Washington, under 6, minus 110 for Ryan Sura with his best bet. Ryan, it's been a blast. Great having you on the Ice Guys show for the first time. Great work. Before we let you run, tell people where they can find you and the shows and content you're doing.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having on. This was a blast. As I mentioned, love talking puck, and we do it every day on the Owner's Box Twitch account. If you guys seen that, or follow us on Lines at Lunch, that's where we do most of our start posting about our schedule as well. And you can follow me at Ryan Sura 18 on Twitter or X. Thank you guys. Appreciate you having me on.
Awesome stuff, Ryan. Have a great night. Enjoy the games.
Cheers,
and good luck. We'll get you back on soon.
All right. Take care.
All right. There we go. Ryan Sura. Thanks to him for joining us. All right. Colorado and Utah. Back we go. Minus 150 road favorites. You know, with Utah, with this little uptick, 3 wins in a row at home, playing some good hockey. They've really played well in here in front of the Delta Center faithful here in the early going. I'm kind of tempted to take them tonight, but here's my issue: the strength of schedule. That's the issue with this Utah team. You look at who they played. During this 3-game win streak here at home: Calgary, San Jose, Boston. Okay, that's not a great lineup. It's not a great trio of teams that you beat on this homestand. They've looked good doing so, but now you're taking on this Colorado team that you've lost 3 of 4 to the Avs since you moved to Utah. Including in Utah last year, Colorado beat them by a score of 4-1. That being said, if you go back to when this team was in the iteration of the Arizona Coyotes, Colorado would have fits going to Arizona. Like that, when they were the Coyotes 2 years ago, they would give Colorado a ton of problems when Arizona played at home. Now, obviously last year it didn't carry over because Utah lost at home to Colorado, but I'm very tempted by Utah. I just don't know if they're ready for a step up like this, because when you beat San Jose and you beat Calgary and you beat Boston in this homestand, it's not really a sign of, being able to beat some of the best teams in the league. And then you look at the other results for Utah. They beat Nashville, and then they lost at Colorado, at Chicago on the road. So their wins they have not gotten, and their 4 wins, not one of them is against a team that I would call an elite upper echelon quality foe. So that's my concern here in this one. It's a game I don't have a real strong feel for. Keep in mind with the Colorado Avalanche too, and we'll see if Alex agrees, they're playing a more tight defensive style. They're playing very well defensively. Scott Wedgwood's been not just good, but really strong in net so far this season for them. And I don't think their offense is firing away like we know when they're on their game and their A game, they can light it up. They're not lighting it up right now, Colorado. They're just doing enough offensively. So I can't say I'm in love with the over in this game. Alex, what do you think here? Final game, Colorado, Utah.
Yeah, they haven't been firing, and I think this could be the game where they break out. I like the over 3.5. I got plus 105 in MGM with that. And like you said, they struggled when they played this team in Arizona. I think that was more of an Arizona thing. And there's going to be some teams where we're going to see where there's a transitional shift. Yes, they struggled when playing at, Mullet Arena or Gila River Arena, but once now they get into Salt Lake City, it's completely different. I think that's the case here with Colorado. So I like smaller play, but I like team total over 3.5.
Yeah, I like Clayton Keller just because he's on a goal prop streak here tonight. 2 games in a row with a goal. Gunther, it goes without saying. I would maybe look at Natchez too for the Avs. Plus 200 for him to score a goal. I know it's not bargain bin, but for a guy that just crushes it in the month of October, historically, that's still a pretty good price when you factor that in for Marty Natchez here tonight. By the way, goaltending in this game, Karel Vejmelka confirmed for the Utah Mammoth. I would expect Scott Wedgwood again. Mackenzie Blackwood remains out. I don't think his return is imminent at the moment. So it looks like Scott Wedgwood, who's obviously done a really nice job here getting the opportunity. And apparently everybody loves the guy too. Like Scott Wedgwood's a very, very well-liked teammate. And this goes back to the other places he's been in previously, Dallas, New Jersey, all the places he's been in the past. Everyone says good things about the person that Scott Wedgwood is, in addition to the goaltender. Great stuff. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it. Almost 600 live viewers here for this edition of the show. And make sure you check out wizardsportspicks.com. Great roster of handicappers. You can find me there, Alex B. Smith there, Matt Robinson there, and a bunch of great handicappers. It's been a terrific start to the website for me. Free plays and premium picks combined, profitable. 15 and 8 is the NFL and college football run for me on the website. So make sure you check that out. Great group of handicappers there. Single game premium picks are available. Not to mention now we've got 3-game and 5-game pick packages on a daily basis available as well. So make sure you check it out, wizardsportspicks.com. And make sure you check out the website, patreon.com/iceguys. The Patreon page, just $10 per month. Goalie charts, totals charts. Of course, you're going to get all our exclusive bonus content, live betcasts exclusively to Patreon members later in the season, the live chat rooms. We love the discussion that our Patreon members are having with those. And most importantly, our daily betting card each and every day. Sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. You get all that and more for just $10 per month. Get on board if you haven't already. Great response from everybody. $10 per month. And by the way, we will have in November, we're slow out of the gate with the live betcasts. But next Tuesday, we're going to have our Frozen Frenzy season premiere betcast available to everybody. We will have our first Patreon exclusive live betcast in the month of November. It'll be a smaller duration one, but we will have one in the month of November, exclusive to our members. So make sure you sign up, $10 per month, patreon.com/iceguys.
And with that, we won't announce that days before. We won't even announce it on the show the day of. Members will find out first, and then there will be posts along Twitter at @the_iceguys, at my Twitter, AXMaSports, at Ian's, at Bobano Bets, and then you will be seeing us on the air that given night, whichever night we choose. So definitely want to stay tuned to be a member for that. But also want to check out the Ice Guys store as well. It's iceguys.myspreadshop.com. Starting tonight at midnight Eastern, you will be able to save 20% off of orders that are $70 or more. That goes all the way until October 26th. So that starts at midnight Eastern. Get all the T-shirts, caps, got a bunch of great designs. Definitely check out the Ice Guys store right now at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
All right, bargain bin special of the night, best bets, coming up right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Wizard Sports Picks, featuring the finest handicappers in the universe. Sharp insights, trusted picks, and relentless results. We strive to help you become consistent winners. This is Wizard Sports Picks.
Where the kings and queens shop.
Check out all our sponsors, including our brand new smoke sponsor, Royal Cannabis, at royalcannabisshop.com. 20% off with promo code IceGuys. All right, bargain bin special of the night for this Tuesday. Lots to choose from. Alex, bargain bin special. What do you got?
All right, get unmuted first. And let's go with two games. Two plays that I like here for bargain bin. I couldn't decide between the two, so we're just going to give them both out to you. First one will be Columbus and Dallas. And Ian, you mentioned it. Maverick Bork moving up that second line. I like him to get a goal here. You get him anytime goal scorer, plus 375 was the price I saw at FanDuel. I see a plus 425 at DraftKings. That looks like the best price available. So Maverick Bork, anytime goal scorer. And then for the second game, that ESPN started a doubleheader, Boston and Florida. I said I like Boston to get the first goal. I think it's going to be Morgan Geekie to get the first goal of the game there. Give me him at 1,500. At FanDuel, plus 1,500 for Morgan Geekie, first goal, Boston against Florida, and then Maverick Bork, plus 425, anytime goal for Dallas against Columbus. Those are my two bargain bin specials for this Tuesday.
All right, there we go. I like it. A couple of them there. Morgan Geekie. Don't be geeky for Boston. First goal for that one. And, of course, Maverick Bork to get a goal for the Dallas Stars. I'm going to go with two as well. I'm going to go with that Sharks-Islanders game. I could see there being some goals there. He scored in the last game on the second line for the Islanders. Emil Heineman at plus 425. Emil Heineman, New York Islanders, plus 425 for my first one. And my second one, assuming he's going to be on the top line with Nyes and Matthews for the Leafs, Max Domi, an old friend of ours, plus 450. At BetMGM, great value playing with Austin Matthews and Matthew Nyes tonight for the Leafs. So Max Domi, plus 450, and Emil Heineman for the Islanders, plus 425 for my bargain bin specials for this Tuesday night. All right, best bets. Sweep for us with best bet. And Perlo, let's give Perlo a shout out too. His best bets came through as well last night. So it was a clean sweep. Alex, yours truly, and Perlo with our Monday best bets. We were on the same best bet, Alex and I. Carolina, Vegas, first period over. See if we have an encore in store for tonight. Alex, what do you like here for best bet?
Let's head down to Big D. Got the Columbus Blue Jackets taking on the Dallas Stars. And like I said, I think the Stars get their offense rocking and rolling tonight against the Blue Jackets. So give me Dallas, team total over 3.5. Best price available, minus $1.16. It's my best bet for Tuesday night.
This was going to be my best bet, and I'm leery of the goaltending situation. I don't like that it hasn't been confirmed yet for Lukáš Dostal. But then Alex told me the stats of Mrazek, pretty good against Nashville in his career. So if it is Mrazek, so be it. But I do love this price, and to me, it's best bet worthy at this price. Quack, 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 quack. Anaheim Ducks, plus 120 against the Nashville Predators. I think they bounce back from a tough lost to Chicago the other night. You catch Nashville coming back home off a little bit of a road trip. Tough spot. Anaheim might be the better team anyway. Great price, great spot. Anaheim plus 120 against Nashville for my best bet here for this Tuesday NHL card. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button on the way out. We appreciate it very much. And again, like I said, great pace, under 90 minutes to get through 10 games. That's the pace we want. We put our track shoes on here on the Ice Guys show. All right, a reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Tuesday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Delayed start on Mondays, Saturday, Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Tuesday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. Back with you tomorrow, Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern, for another edition of the Ice Guys.